Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are jumping into a really cool study that could totally change how we think about using AI in the classroom. We're talking about turning it from a simple answer key into a genuine learning partner.
You know, AI tools like ChatGPT are pretty much everywhere now, and they offer students instant help. But it raises a huge question. Are we using them in a way that actually helps students learn to think for themselves, or are we just training them to ask for the answers?
And this gets to the heart of what the researchers call the educator's paradox. It's this tricky situation where, yeah, AI offers this incredible personalized support, but at the same time, if we're not careful, it can let students just skip over the hard parts, the critical thinking, the revision, the actual learning. And that is the challenge we're all facing today.
So, if that's the problem, what's the fix? Well, these researchers came up with a simple but honestly brilliant shift in how students should talk to AI. They call it clue before correction. Okay, so here's how it works, and it's actually pretty simple. First, a student submits their work to the AI. But, and this is the key, instead of asking, hey, fix my mistakes, they ask for a hint. The AI then gives them a little clue without just spilling the beans. And finally, the student has to use that clue to figure it out and fix the mistake themselves. It's active problem solving, not just copying and pasting. And this is a huge shift in thinking, right? The AI isn't the teacher with the big red pen anymore. It's more like a coach or a partner on the sidelines, helping you figure out the game for yourself. This really builds up a student's confidence and teaches them how to think strategically.
And listen, this isn't just some clever trick. It's all backed by some serious learning science. It taps into things like the errorful generation principle, which basically says we learn way better when we make a mistake and have to fix it ourselves. It also manages cognitive load, giving students these small, bite-sized clues so they don't get overwhelmed.
All right, so the big question, did it actually work? Well, the evidence from the study is pretty compelling. It shows this really clear journey from students being passive to becoming super active in their own learning.
Just look at this journey here. The data shows how learners went from just seeking verification, that first bar on the left, just asking, is this right, to having these much deeper, more interactive conversations with the AI. Look how the bars for strategy talk and affective engagement get higher. That's real learning happening.
And this is so cool. It shows how students evolve through 3 different profiles. They start out as the apprentice, just taking the AI's suggestions. But then they grow into the improver, where they start questioning the AI and thinking about its advice. And finally, you get the collaborator, someone who's actually in a strategic dialogue, challenging the AI and building understanding with it.
Okay, but here's the plot twist. It's not quite that simple. This strategy, as powerful as it is, didn't work the exact same way for everyone. Turns out, where a student was starting from really mattered.
And this leads to a question that every educator has probably asked themselves a million times. How does a student's skill level change how they respond to a new tool? Is one size really going to fit all?
So here's the bottom line. Proficiency is everything. For a more advanced student, a vague clue is a perfect little puzzle that gets them thinking. But for a beginner, that same clue can be totally overwhelming. It's like being thrown into the deep end without knowing how to swim. It just leads to frustration, not learning.
So, does that mean this whole clue thing is a bust for beginners? Not at all. It just means we have to be smarter about how we use it. So how do we build a blueprint that makes this work for everybody?
It's all about providing the right support or scaffolding. For beginners, we can literally give them prompt templates so they don't have to stress about what to ask. A teacher can do a think aloud, basically narrating their own process of using the AI, and we can narrow the task, telling them, hey, just focus on fixing the past tense verbs for now.
And it doesn't stop there. To keep them growing, we can ask simple reflection questions like, what was the clue that helped you the most? We can even make it a team sport, have students work together to figure out the prompts and decode the clues. It's way less intimidating when you're tackling it with a friend, right?
So when you take all these pieces, the core strategy, the smart adaptations for different levels, it all starts to point toward this really powerful new way of seeing AI's role in the classroom.
What you get is this amazing positive feedback loop. You start with a smart task design, like clue before correction, and that leads to deeper engagement from the student. That engagement then builds real autonomy and those reflective skills they need to become lifelong learners.
So here's the big takeaway. The future of AI in education isn't AI as the corrector. It's AI as a formative learning partner. By making this one small shift from asking for corrections to asking for clues, we can completely change the game. It's a tiny change in a prompt that can make a world of difference. So what's one way you could try this tomorrow?